I'm excited and hyped. And my name is Michael Vitt. And his name is
Mike Vitt.
and we're two Vitts talking shit. And last week was week 7 of the NFL football season, and we've got some stuff to discuss. That's how we do the intro, right?
Little bit. Something like that. Something
Oh,
like
yes,
that.
we do. Big week in terms of stories. We've got a lot to talk about. Some things pertain to to things that happened 2 weeks ago. Stories are progressing. Isn't that wild? We've got
Yep.
things that are compounding week in week. If you don't know who we are, we're just a dad and son who talk sports, and we have a little bit of a flow we like to go through every week. We usually talk about a couple key topics in the beginning, then talk about our 2 specific teams. I'm a Lions fan, he's a Raiders fan, as you can tell. And then we get into the nitty-gritty and discuss next week. So let's get right into it. Dad, what are some good topics that you have for this week?
Well, I think leading off this week, let's jump into something that happened in a game that we'll discuss a little bit further, but I wanted to jump into it as
Okay.
it's a pretty big topic this week, and that is the suspension of Dre Greenlaw
Yeah.
from the Denver Broncos. It's an interesting story, something that
Yeah.
I cannot recall seeing in ever, to be quite honest.
I don't think it's ever
And that
happened before.
was at the end of the game. There was some sort of perceived push by the ref. And Dre Greenlaw plays for the Broncos, took exception to that and basically chased down a ref as he was running off the field
Yeah.
and verbally threatened him. As of now, I don't think we know the exact threats or what that verbiage was. However, he was suspended for a game. He appealed the suspension, and already the NFL has decided, nope, we're going to go ahead and suspend you. We're not going to allow you to do that. And it was funny because when I first heard this story, I thought, holy cow, what the hell's really going on? And then you watch the video, and Denver wins the game. We'll discuss further again later. But Denver wins the game, and the ref's sort of in the middle of their celebration, and he sort of just kind of brushes off people as he's sort of getting mobbed on.
Yeah.
And then leaves and goes to run off the field like normal. And I don't know what the hell happened. We haven't heard anything from Greenlaw yet. And this guy, like a psychopath, is chasing down this regular sized human being without pads on,
Yeah.
and is getting threatened. It's crazy. It's wild. What's really going on? What's really
Okay.
going on? That's my question.
Well, first of all, I will say
Yeah.
the referee in question is named Brad Allen. And
Yes, it is.
if you are a Lions fan, you should know that name
Uh-huh.
because 2 years ago, he was the head referee during that fateful night in Dallas when the Lions had to run like 4 2-point conversion plays and get 4 penalties called on them over and over again. One of which being an extremely incorrect call by said Brad Allen. So
Mm-hmm.
I can understand why many people, including players, probably don't like Brad Allen. And I've seen the clip. I've watched it a couple times. They rush him, and then he kind of like shoves a dude in the shoulder. And I could see how you could see that as like not being cool. I can see how after 60 minutes of playing football and getting shafted by referees, as most Broncos fans and players agree, you can see that push as a targeted thing. Do I think you should run after the ref and cuss him out and shit? Probably not. I don't know what he said. But I do think it's really funny that Brad Allen thought he was going to throw a flag on him when the game was over. I don't know if you saw that part.
What recourse does he have?
Well,
I mean,
yeah, I guess so. But what is a flag?
What's he
being
gonna
thrown
do?
Gonna do? What is a flag being thrown gonna do for you? Oh, you're out for the rest of the game. You know, like
he definitely committed an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty.
Yeah. So the suspension makes sense. You're not supposed to or allowed to do that to referees. And it makes sense. Now, Dre Greenlaw didn't. Greenland, by the way. His name's Greenland, not Greenlaw. Greenlaw plays for a different team. But I believe his name is Dre Greenland. Either way,
Okay.
yeah, you're not supposed to touch refs. You're not supposed to hit them. You're not supposed to say anything to them. So I can, and you do get a penalty for that. So that makes sense. But I think this is a situation that kind of reflects a bigger issue that is starting to emerge.
Hold on. Producer in my ear. Nope, it's Dre Greenlaw.
What?
It's definitely Dre Greenlaw in my ear. Producer
His name
Dan
is Dre
says
Greenlaw?
Yeah, definitely in
Oh my
my yep.
lord, my bad.
Yeah.
I
So,
misread. Apologies. Either way, back to it. I'm sorry. I
yeah.
thought there is okay. Either way, it is. This is. Damn, you got me all fucked up. Hold on, recollecting.
That's all right.
This captures a similar issue, or an issue that
Uh-huh.
is emerging in the NFL,
Uh-huh.
which is the very exposed and very apparent referee issues in the league. I'm not saying that refs are fixing games or doing anything of that sort, but
Uh-huh.
this has been a rising and concerning issue over the last couple years, and now it is starting to become a really big problem, so big to the point that not only are players and coaches actively speaking out on it very frequently after every game, but now we have players acting on it, right? So yeah,
Yeah,
we'll see.
and yes, there is a bigger issue topic maybe for a different day with regards to the officiating in the NFL as a whole. That I do think there are some issues, certainly some questions, but you cannot cross that line. And
No, I'm not saying.
you can say things after the game in the media, and you can make your feelings known as far as that's related. But now let's be clear. Dre Greenlaw was on the winning team. Also,
Yeah.
he was on the winning team. So whatever things that he had issues with, or whatever he took, had an umbrage with, he was on the winning team. And so, and also, he's a large man in football pads, running after we'll just call it a normal sized man with no pads on.
Yeah.
And so, no matter what your feelings are, and I know your feelings personally about said referee, Brad Allen,
Oh,
again.
I don't think Brad Allen should have been pursued or attacked
Yeah.
afterwards. I do think he's a bad referee and his character isn't that great, but doesn't mean you
Right.
should attack the guy. I'll say
Right,
that.
right.
But
Yeah,
I
so
mean,
I think that
yeah,
at this point the suspension will be a one game.
it's been upheld. Yeah,
I
it's a one
just
game.
Yeah, it has been. I just hope that why I wanted to bring it up first is I really hope that we don't see more of this kind of garbage. It doesn't really matter what you think of the officiating. That's not the way to go about it. And I
No,
think that even a lot of what's happening in the media, if players want to say stuff in the media after the games and take their fines from the NFL, by all means, go ahead and do that. A lot of these guys make enough money that they can take those hits and say what they want
yeah,
to say. And I
yeah.
think that's fair. And I think the NFL is going to have to address it. But
Well, they've
let's,
got a lot that they need to fix. In all honesty, they need to fix how they find players. They need to fix on what they
yeah,
find players on. They need to fix the serious ref issues. There's a lot that the league needs to figure out, and I'm surprised that they
yeah,
haven't worked on any of it. So
yeah. So that's my big topic I wanted to cover at the beginning of this.
okay.
What do you got?
Big topic. I mean, that was the big topic of the
Next
week.
topic.
I think
Sure.
that was the big topic of the week. The other stuff we could honestly kind of discuss as we get into it with
Okay, let's do it.
with every other discussion later on. But I mean, we could just tackle our teams this week if you'd like.
Okay. Yeah. You want to start? You want me to start?
Well, yeah,
Let's
we
go.
can start with the good news or the bad news, right?
Let's go. Bad news, good news this week.
All right, so let's start off with the Raiders then.
Okay. So, thank you for those of you who are watching. For those of you listening, I wear my Raiders jersey every week for the podcast.
Mhm.
It's a jersey from the last time we had a decent quarterback. It's a Rich Gannon jersey, and I typically wear my Raiders hat, which has been replaced this week by a all black blacked out Lions hat.
Go Lions.
As I am a Lions fan, following my son. And so that is representative of the fact that at week 7 of the NFL season, it is a lost season for the Raiders. It's a lost season. The season is over. All of the hopes and dreams as a Raiders fan that I had, and all of the observations as not a fan, but somebody who is evaluating, tell me all the same things, and that is that it's over. The
Yeah.
coaching staff has been a large flop. And what I'm hearing from a lot of people that are close and some other people that I listen to and watch, the inside of that locker room is a hot mess because they're unhappy with the coaching. And so all of the things I thought Pete Carroll would bring, which was a culture and some unity and some building of a program is apparently not happening. And there's a lot of dissension in the locker room. And so it's sort of a bummer. As it pertains to this week, they lost 31-0 to the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah.
And we know that the Kansas City Chiefs are a good football team. They have definitely turned it on the last couple weeks after what looked like a slow start for them. But quick stat line here. Geno Smith, starting quarterback for the Raiders, was 10 of 16 for 67 yards this week. Yes, sir.
Not
That
good.
is a professional quarterback who gets paid millions of dollars at the highest level.
Yeah.
Threw for 67 yards, was 10 of 16. And I watched the game, and it didn't even look that good. And it was sad. And Genty, our number 6 overall pick, number 1 draft pick this year, had 6 rushes, a total of 6 times he touched the ball for 21 yards. We had less than 90 yards of total offense, and I would say 60 or 70% of that came when the game was over and all of the starting lineup for the Kansas City Chiefs were off the field, and we were still playing all of our starters. So,
can I give you a positive?
That is embarrassing. Is it pertaining to the game?
Well, okay, here's a positive. The Raiders were not the only team to score 0 points this week. The Ravens and Bills also didn't score points.
Yes, I know, and they were on byes, so thank you very much for that. I understand they didn't play, so thank you. Yes, I know. The one positive thing out of the Raiders, and I don't know how long it's going to be a positive, but as a Raiders fan, I am thankful for this positive, and that is there was large rumors swirling around on Sunday after the game and Monday that Max Crosby, the all-world defensive end for the Raiders, who's an absolute stud, not just because of what he does on the football field as far as his position, but just sort of inspiration, a lot of the stuff in his personal life. There were some trade rumors. Obviously, a lot of teams would like to have his services.
Yes.
The only team I would like to see him go to, if they were going to go to, would be to the Lions to bookend Max Crosby and Hutch there in
the greatest D-line in the league
in Detroit. But that's not going to happen. Thankfully, both sides met. I believe he went even to the facilities, and both sides agreed that the Raiders have no interest in letting him go for any price. And, speaking to sort of Max and who he is, Max Crosby has no interest in actually leaving. He'd like to stick around and see about helping the Raiders turn around.
Yeah.
So that to me was a big deal. I really like him as a player, and I like him as a person from what I know.
Yeah.
And so that's the only good news for the week. But other than that, it's sort of a lost season. Again, I've mentioned this a few times. We are contractually obligated to talk about our teams every week, so I will still have to talk about them at some point. But after midseason of this season, we'll start to drop some of the teams we talk about. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on where you sit on this, the Raiders will not be dropped. We will talk about them every week. And so that is the bad news, ladies and gentlemen. Michael,
that was a rough statement at the end there.
And so why don't you go ahead and enlighten the people on, if they missed it, what a week it was for the Lions.
Great news. Monday night was a huge success for the Detroit Lions. They came out and they put the hurt on the person who is currently leading the MVP race, Baker Mayfield. Wow.
Quarterback for the Tampa Bay Bucks.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers, yes. What a game. Offensively, defensively, we were dominant.
Absolutely.
I saw a couple things on social media saying that the Lions didn't have a perfect or a great offensive day. They had a mediocre day. I don't know who thought that was a mediocre day. Jahmyr Gibbs alone had over 200 yards of over 200 scrimmage yards. I think Lions were having a great offensive day, to be fair. Scoring 24 points, sure, not crazy, but we had a great day. I think the biggest story to come out of this, because I'm not going to harp on too much stuff, but the biggest story to come out of this week was the Lions had 0 starting defensive backs, 0 starting corners, and 0 starting safeties playing in that game.
That they started the season with? Yeah.
Yes. The closest to that was cornerback Amik Robertson, who is the backup defensive back for the Lions, who plays every game he still plays. I think he comes in on certain packages, but that was the only player who had, I believe, seen the field for the Lions at all this year so far, starting in our secondary. So to come in and hold Baker Mayfield to one thrown touchdown, to hold the Bucs as a whole to 9 points total throughout the entire game, was shocking. I'm so pumped to know that my team has depth, because it feels like, especially after last year, we had zero depth at all. I'd argue that some of the guys that started for the Lions last week should probably be starting for the Lions continuing forward, even after our bye week and some of the players we get back. But we'll see. Yeah. We'll see. Either way, I'm not going to harp on it too long because we kind of just dominated again. Lions are good, and they have depth everywhere, and they got some key pieces back on defense, which only made their defensive line struggles that people are going to have not apparent anymore. I know my words suck there, but we got some key pieces. Ali McNeil came back and kind of just wrecked the field. He played like almost the entire game. He played like 45 snaps total. Had pressures, had pass breakups. He was back. And he was making it known. So in 2 weeks' time, when the Lions are fully healthy again and everybody's back, including some players who didn't even get to start the season because they were still injured, I think we're going to have a really scary Lions team to look at. And, the Vikings are going to be a great start for them because that's who they play when they get back. And then they get to play the Eagles on Sunday night. And I think that's going to be great for the Lions. I think having 1 week to have everybody play again and then go straight into the Eagles, I think it's going to be scary. So,
so both of our teams are off here in week 8.
Yeah.
Hopefully the Raiders can do some things to patch up some things, and I don't know, maybe get together, sing Kumbaya, and try to right the ship a little bit. And the Lions will have the week off to sort of, I think I saw Dan Campbell, head coach, say
let everybody off.
That they were going to take a week off.
Yeah.
And just take a rest, which I think is fantastic, and then come back for the remaining 10 games of the season. And I agree. The Lions, the struggle that the Lions had last year, and what really cost them, in large part injuries, obviously, but just the defense was not good at any point, even when they weren't injured at the beginning of the season. But so it was really awesome to see them pull out the defensive effort they have. I mean, Baker Mayfield is on a lot of people's boards as the MVP this year so far through the first half of the season, and he threw the ball 50 times, had just over 200 yards, and really he was in flux all day long. So it was really nice. I mean, the front four was impressive, but really the part that the Lions struggle with is that the secondary, and they were solid. It was pretty cool.
There was no way Baker Mayfield was going to get anything done that night. He was pressured every play, and then he was inaccurate because he was getting pressured so much. He overthrew and underthrew so many balls, and then when he was able to get a pass off, it was pass breakup after pass breakup, or there was a defensive back getting a hand on it. It was wild. So awesome to see. Cannot wait to watch the Lions play 2 weeks from now, and I cannot wait to see what happens when they're fully healthy, because it will really be the first time that everybody is healthy again on their team since the start of last season.
Yep.
All right, well, let's move on.
Okay.
Now that we're done with the positives and the negatives, and we got our one big story out of the way, let's talk about, and we'll address other things with all the other teams this week as we discuss next week's games. Now, I will say there are some teams that are on bye this week outside of just the Lions and the Raiders.
Okay. Yeah, I think this is the biggest bye week so far, right, of the season?
Yeah, there's 6 teams off this week. And of the 6 teams that are off, the Cardinals, the Jags, the Rams, the Seahawks, and then our 2 teams. So, if we want to say anything about the Cardinals, Jags, Rams, or Seahawks, let's do it now before we talk about everything else. I don't personally have any stories. I have nothing of note to say about any of those teams.
I mean, the Seahawks played the last Monday night game of the week, so they're last week game of the week.
Yeah.
And I think the Seahawks are really good. We'll see how they do in that division where the Rams are hot, hot, hot right now.
Yeah.
I think Darnold had a little bit of a tough night, and I
Yeah, he
don't
didn't
think
look
they
great.
won as yeah, I don't think they won as dominant as I was thinking that they would. However, even good teams have nights where they're off a little bit,
Yeah.
and I think they're a good team that had an off night. Darnold was not what we've seen of him over the
No.
last 18, 20 games or so,
No.
and they still were able to basically, for the most part, dominate that game, and it was never really in any sort of danger. So that's
Yeah.
probably the only thing I have from those teams.
Yeah, I think it's pretty straightforward. Rams showed up, or that was, sorry, not Rams. Rams looked good. Everybody looked good, to be honest, or looked how they should look, right? Jags
Yeah.
kind of petered out, as they have been the last couple weeks. They petered out against the Rams, right? That was the London
Mhm.
game of this week.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm. Yeah.
Rams showed up, looked dominant. Jags looked like
Yeah.
they have a new head coach. I don't
No.
think they played bad by any means. I think Travis Hunter had a great game, his first really really good game that he's played
Mhm.
since starting on both
Mhm.
sides of the ball. So that was cool.
Mhm.
And then Cardinals put up a fight against the Packers, but ultimately could not win it, which sucks for me. I was hoping they'd play better. I do like that Brissett's still starting for them though. I think they should keep starting
Yeah.
Brissett. He's a better quarterback than Kyler Murray is. They should keep playing him if they want a chance, especially in the division that they're in. All right,
Yeah.
let's move on to the games of the week. All right, so we got
Okay.
Thursday night. The Vikings are at the Chargers. Man, what is there to say about this game?
I don't know. I think it's two teams that need to sort of define who they are, and
Yep.
they're not the teams that we thought they were going to be. And for as far as the Chargers are concerned, they came out 3-0. They beat every team in their division, and they look like world beaters. And since then, it's sort of been like I'm not really sure who they are.
No,
And I will say this: they do have some injuries on the front line, on the offensive line,
think
which
that's
are costing them
mainly
dearly.
why.
They were unexpected. But Justin Herbert is a phenomenal quarterback, and he is a large man, and he is getting absolutely dominated every week. And he is taking so many hits that I even heard somebody say this week that they should consider putting in their backup quarterback for the next couple weeks until their offensive line gets healthy,
So that Herbert
so
can
that
get
Justin
healed.
Herbert doesn't get hurt. Like, that is how bad it is. And I thought that was kind of creative. I'd never heard anybody really say that before. I don't remember where I heard
Well-
that from. It was kind of took me by surprise. But to be honest, he is just absolutely getting owned. Like,
Yeah,
he is
he is getting
beat
bullied.
up every game. And even a guy his size cannot continue to take the kind of abuse he's taking.
Yeah,
Um,
I would agree with saying to start your backup over Herbert. Actually, I would entertain that idea purely because it's Trey Lance, and Trey Lance hasn't had a fruitful career in the NFL, but I don't think he's done anything so abysmal that he doesn't deserve to be able to play. So I would agree with that statement. I think Trey Lance should start over Justin Herbert for 2 weeks so that Justin Herbert can get healthy because, man, isn't that the story?
I don't think I would phrase it start over Justin Herbert.
He
I
should
would
start
say
over Justin Herbert because he
start-
deserves it more.
No, I would say it's more like starting as the crash dummy for Justin Herbert so that he
Yeah.
gets the injury in the car wrecks that are happening every week, and Justin Herbert can take a rest and avoid the accidents that are happening on the field, because it's crazy. It's crazy.
It is crazy. I mean, man, the Bengals and the Chargers, when are they not having to fight for their lives? Because they have two of the greatest quarterbacks in the league, and neither of them are ever able to play football because they're getting chased so much.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, I think if the Chargers were healthy and their front five were healthy and they had running backs who were healthy, they would be doing a lot better. But
Yeah.
since week 3, all it's been is injuries. On the other side of the ball, we have the Vikings, who now have a healthy J.J. McCarthy, but for some reason aren't starting him, which shocks me because I think Carson Wentz should be benched at this point. He is not looking good. Outside of that,
I think
Carson Wentz is
Okay.
the starting quarterback for the Vikings this week against the Chargers, which I disagree with. I think they should, at this point, guys, you're the worst team in your division. You're clearly not picking up the pace to be good enough to play at the level that the rest of the teams in your division are, I don't think you're going to have a shot at the playoffs this year. Put your second year, he's a rookie QB still, right, in my head, because he didn't play last year. But put him in, let him have a season, let him grow as a quarterback, because I don't think your season's going to continue much further, guys. That's what I think. And I don't think putting J.J. McCarthy in is necessarily throwing your season away, but not developing the quarterback that you invested in seems like a really stupid idea in my head. That's how I think, personally.
So it's your position that you think he's healthy enough to play and they're not playing because it's being reported that his ankle's still not ready to go.
That's what they reported last week.
I don't know.
I think they're lying.
Yeah.
I do. I think they're lying. I think they're...
that wouldn't be the first time. I mean, that wouldn't be the first time that we use injuries. Yeah, so maybe
Christian McCaffrey last year. He was reported healthy long before he was off IR. It was reported that he was healthy long before they took him off IR, but they kept him on IR.
Okay, we'll see.
I don't know. That's what I think. I think that McCarthy should be starting, and he should be playing, and that Carson Wentz is only bringing that team down further and further.
That's absolutely. He's looked like he has not looked good.
He's looked like crap. 5 touchdowns, 4 interceptions so far this year, right?
He just hasn't looked good.
67% completion percentage, which isn't that bad actually. But otherwise, come on, put somebody else in. Either way, that's what I think. Let's move on.
All right. Yep.
Next game, we have the Dolphins at the Falcons. This is a pooper bowl again. I think any game
Dolphins at Falcons.
I think any game with the Dolphins in it is a pooper bowl. I believe we both agree that the Dolphins are a team we are not going to discuss for the rest of this year, right?
Yeah, we're not going to talk anything about them after next week when we do our mid-season roundup. Yeah.
Yeah. So, real quick to touch on them, they got shit on by the Browns, which you shouldn't get shit on by the Browns. They look like crap, but they're playing against a Falcons team who has yet to figure out who the hell they are. I mean, my lord. What is going on with this team?
But the Dolphins are just a dumpster fire. They've been a dumpster fire. I've talked about them for several weeks. I was a little bit out in front of this almost at the beginning of the season with the leadership from the coach and their quarterback Tua Tagovailoa, who can't keep his mouth shut in the media as he just bus checks people and makes weird comments about even his level of play. And it's just sort of a weird deal. And it's just, and then this week, Darren Waller, who came back out of retirement to play for them, is now hurt and on the IR again after only playing a couple weeks because he started the season off on injured. It's just a dumpster fire, and they lost Tyreek Hill. There's just not a whole lot to talk about. The fact of the matter is that no matter what you think of Atlanta, when you watch their games, those guys are still playing hard. They might not be the elite team in the league, but they're not an absolute dumpster fire.
They're good.
A lot of really good players. Yeah, and so we can move on. Miami's terrible.
Yeah, Miami's gonna
probably lose. Should see Atlanta. We should see Atlanta own them. It's the NFL.
I just want Atlanta to have multiple weeks of consistent play. That's all I want, because I've watched them play really, really good, and then play really, really bad, and it seems like they haven't had a single stretch of games where they've been their best or their worst.
Right.
They just they lose by 30-0 against the Panthers. And then they beat the Bills. Right. And then they lose to the Niners the next week, which the Niners aren't a bad team, but they're so injured. I feel like you should be able to come in and beat them. It just makes some sense of what you guys are. Have an identity.
Yep. Right.
All right. Next week. Next game. Bears at Ravens. This is a good one. I'm actually really excited for this.
Why?
Because Lamar Jackson is back, right? Okay. And hopefully this beaten and battered Ravens team can have a game where they look like they have looked. And the Bears are on a tear, dude. They're 4-2, and I don't like that they're on a tear. I hate that, but it's good football. They look like the Bears have always looked, except they're winning their games now, which is kind of fun because the Bears are kind of a chaotic team. And I shouldn't be saying this, I guess, because I'm a Lions fan, and I guess I've really only enjoyed the fact that the Bears look so chaotic like they always do because they always lose. But now they're winning games, and it's kind of fun. And Ben Johnson, even though I hate that he left their team and disrespected us so poorly, I got my haha you suck thing because the Lions already beat him. So now I don't have to feel like crap that Ben Johnson left. I can just enjoy the fact that they win or they lose.
Yeah, that's
I don't know.
true.
They're just fun to watch. They're fun to
Yeah,
watch.
I don't.
You don't like it? You don't like it?
You know what? Baltimore's coming off their bye. Baltimore's
Yeah.
been a very good team for the
25 years.
yeah, but I mean, let's call it the last 5 years
Okay.
with their quarterback Lamar. Um, and and he's been injured the last few weeks. They're 1-5 this year. And so this is really that game where
Yeah.
it kind of decides what direction they're going to continue to go. Is Lamar Jackson going to come back off the bye and off of his injury and turn that team around against a Bears team that, quite frankly, even at, what are they, 4-2? Even
Yeah.
at 4-2, I'm not a believer yet in the Bears. I do think that they've sort of turned a corner to maybe start to get better, but I don't even believe that 4-2 record just yet. And so this is a make it or break it for Baltimore. And I don't really think that highly of the Bears just yet. I know that you've got maybe a little bit of a soft spot for Ben Johnson because he came from the Lions for the last few years, who really
Mm-hmm.
helped them turn their offense around. But I don't really look at much into this. I think it'll
Interesting.
say more about Baltimore in their direction if
Of
they can
course
come
it
out and
is.
beat the
Yeah.
Bears than
100%.
anything. But I don't know. This is probably a third screen or a fourth game in the screen that we're
Really?
watching.
I think this is one of
Yeah.
the best games of that
Oh.
morning slate. I really do.
Well, I think it has a significance for Baltimore because honestly, if Baltimore loses against the Bears, you look at the rest of their schedule, and they're 1-6. I mean, you can pretty much write them off and say no
Well,
no
yeah.
playoffs for them
But
on
I
a
mean,
season where So
I don't know. It's just for me. I think it's exciting. I think there's a lot going on in this game specifically. When it goes,
okay.
the Bears keep their momentum going. Are they actually going to solidify themselves as a team that's going to win? Are they going to have a winning
Hmm.
culture? The Ravens coming off of their bye with a little bit more health, a little bit more depth. Are they going to actually figure it out, or are they going to give up? Are they going to actually? Because you're true. You're right. This is the game that decides how the rest of the Ravens season is going to go. Are they going to
Hmm.
continue to try and fight and play, or are they going to give up? And so I don't know. When
Hmm.
I look at it, I think it's a really fun game, and I think both teams, talent wise, are pretty evenly matched with how they're both looking right now. I think the Bears defense is significantly better than the Ravens, and I think if the Ravens are super healthy, they're a much better offense. But we'll see. It'll be fun. It'll
Yeah.
be fun watching. And at the end of the day, if it really goes as terribly as it can go, it's going to be the Bears racking up points in crazy ways against the Ravens' shitty defense, which is also fun to watch, in my opinion. So I don't know.
All right.
I'll have
Okay.
fun with it. Let's move on. We got the Jets at the Bengals, the other side of the Lions coaching tree that left last year.
Uh-huh.
Aaron Glenn has his really shitty just situation to deal with against a really injured and battered, well, not injured, but a really crappy Bengals team. Although they won
Mhm.
last week, which we'll talk
Mhm.
about, I'm sure, right now. I'll handle the
Mhm.
Jets if you want to handle the Bengals.
Mm.
There was
Mm.
you don't want to handle the Bengals? You'd rather handle the
I mean,
Jets?
I'll talk about the Bengals. I mean, the Bengals beat Pittsburgh last week in the battle of the two oldest quarterbacks in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Flacco is the quarterback for the Cincinnati Bengals, came over. The Browns traded him 2 weeks ago to
Mm-hmm.
sort of, I don't know, I mean, do what Joe Flacco does, which is resurrects teams for a week or two when he
And
gets
then
to their
moves
team.
on. Yep.
And then reality comes back down to earth. And so that's what happened last week. He came in, beat Pittsburgh, which I don't think most people had that on their bingo card, but that's
Mike
what
Tomlin
happened.
had some words for it before the game.
Yeah, and I
You
mean,
saw
it actually,
those.
in a game that, in a game that, that was slated to kind of be probably not a whole lot of offense. Like I said, the two 40-year-old quarterbacks ended up being a barn burner. I don't remember
It was
the exact
awesome.
score, but it was in the 30s of both of
33
them.
to 30, I believe, or 33 to 32.
Yeah,
It was a very close
yeah,
game.
yeah, and Jamar Chase, some top 1, 2, 3 wide receivers in the league, had like 23 targets
Yeah.
and some crazy amount.
Crazy.
So, I mean, I think Cincinnati will come back down to earth, but it was sort of fun to see the two old guys last week play Pittsburgh and
Yeah.
Cincinnati.
I don't think they're
But
coming down to earth this week. I will say. Against the Jets,
no,
they
I don't
probably
think
won't
so.
come
I
down
don't
to
think.
earth.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think that's a yeah. I don't
I
think
will
so either.
say, I believe I said it a couple weeks ago, or whenever Joe Flacco got picked up, I said it. I said this is a great pickup because Joe Flacco is going to sling that ball to Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. And when he does start slinging that ball to Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, it's going to work out really well for them. And it is working out really well for them. Because
wow, that's true. That's true, but he's playing behind the same offensive line that got Joe Burrow hurt. And he's
that's true. And
40 plus years old.
I don't know, man. Joe Flacco looked a lot crazier. He scrambled a lot better than Joe Burrow did this year. I don't know if you've seen that.
What I'm saying.
That was a great 16-yard gain.
It's the Flacco couple games magic that happens.
Yeah,
so we'll see. We'll see when the levity happens. I don't think it'll be. I don't think it'll be this week though. Not against the Jets.
When we move over to the Jets, though, we've got an issue. Yeah. Now Justin Fields has been benched officially. He's done for. Tyrod Taylor is the starting QB, and to quote the Jets owner, Aaron Glenn. What did he say exactly? It was when you have a quarterback as bad as us, you're gonna struggle, or something like that. In defense of Aaron Glenn, which funny. First of all, crazy that an owner would say that. If I'm Justin Fields, I say I'm not playing anymore, even if you want me to. I'm done playing for you guys because my owner just said I sucked, which is really funny. But I do think it's true. I do think that the Jets' offensive struggles are due to the fact that Justin Fields is their quarterback. Do I think Tyrod Taylor is going to save them? No, but he's definitely going to play a lot better than Justin Fields is.
I'll tell you right now, he's no Joe Flacco.
No, he is no Joe Flacco. Although he has done the same job that Joe Flacco has done for a long time, too. Tyrod Taylor's also a plug-and-play QB, and when he does play, he usually tends to resurrect teams for a couple weeks. So we'll see what Tyrod Taylor does. But the more concerning issue for the Jets is their defense. When you bring in a defensive-minded coach, your team should not get worse at defense. And yet the Jets' defense has gotten significantly worse. So, in this battle of backups, we will see if the Joe Flacco experience continues or if Tyrod Taylor is going to take the mantle of backup QB who resurrects a team for a couple weeks. Moving on to the Bills at the Panthers.
Can I hit a couple spots on the Jets?
Couple spots on the Jets. Hit it.
Couple spots on the Jets. So everything you said is true. Woody Johnson, the owner of the Jets, is a hot mess. He's in the media when he shouldn't be. He says things he shouldn't say.
Yes.
He does things that owners should not do. Mm-hmm. Yes, he came out and basically defended Aaron Glenn, their head coach, and bus-chucked their starting quarterback, who I maintained all along before the season started. I mentioned to you, he's not a starting quarterback in the NFL anyways. I don't care. Justin Fields is not a starting quarterback.
Yeah.
Anyways, and only the Jets or one or two other teams would have even allowed that.
Yeah.
I will say this, though. I was looking at this, and the Jets' defense started off the season a hot-ass mess, and you're right, Aaron Glenn as a defensive. The last 2 weeks, they've actually been very solid. They've only allowed 13 points in back-to-back games against the Broncos and the Panthers, but they're absolutely inept on offense, which is crazy.
I need to stop you there. They allowed how many points?
13 points.
Against which two teams?
The Broncos and the Panthers.
Okay, so the Broncos, whose offense has been a hot mess all year with the exception of the fourth quarter against the Giants last week, and the Panthers, who we all agree is also a hot mess of a football team.
The Panthers are 4-3. The Broncos are 5-2, and so I mean, I guess sure you could argue. You could argue. I could argue. All you
true.
Want.
Yes, but two teams that have winning records.
Yeah, but the Jets allowing only 13 points, no matter who you're allowing it to in the NFL, allowing 13 points if you're not a hot mess and an absolutely inept on offense should give you a chance. And in neither one of those games were they ever really. I mean, I guess the Broncos game it was sort of close in a game 2 weeks ago in London, but it just was never that close. The last thing I want to say on the Jets, and we're going to cover it a little more next week, but I wanted to preface this, is it occurred to me while I was watching the 49ers in Atlanta this week, was on both of those sidelines, on 49ers sideline, there's Robert Saleh, who's their defense coordinator for the 49ers.
Who was the head
coach.
And
on the Atlanta sidelines, there is a Bobby Albright, who is the defensive coordinator for Atlanta. Ironically, both of those coaches were the two head coaches for the Jets last year. Robert Saleh started off as the head coach for the Jets. who they fired. They promoted Albright to the interim head coach, and then let him go at the end of the season. And I think it's absolutely freaking hilarious that the Jets are such a hot mess that they took two coaches who are now on very successful teams, who are very good on defense.
They're very great defensive coaches, yeah.
And are on two teams. The Niners are 5-2. The aforementioned Atlanta is 3-3. So we're not sure on them yet, but their defense is very good. And I just think it's hilarious that people leave the Jets and magically are good.
They're the
I'll
most cursed
expand a little bit
organization in
more.
the league.
Yeah, and I'll expand on that a little more next week. But it just punched me in the mouth when I was watching that Atlanta Falcons 49ers game this week. And I was like, holy cow. So, okay, moving on. Now we can move on. Sorry.
Yeah. We'll talk about it more. Let's go Bills at Panthers. Well, let's talk about the Panthers now that I have my thoughts on them. So let's touch on the Panthers real quick. I don't really think we need to touch on the Bills at all because it was their bye week last week. But just to quickly touch on them before I get into this Panthers spiel, the Bills lost in an embarrassing way right before their bye week, and it exposed them a bit. But I don't think they're a bad team, and I think they'll bounce back. I think the bye week came at a perfect time for them, and I think the Bills will continue to succeed. They have top 5 QB in the league. They have a top 5 running back in the league on offense, and I don't think their defense is that bad. They've got a pretty solid defense. So we'll see, hopefully, that they bounce back. Now, on the Panthers case, let me talk about these 4-3 Panthers real quick. Now, I will admit, they are scoring points. Okay. Against the Jets, they only scored 13, which is the lowest or the second lowest amount of points they've scored all year. The team that held them to less points were the Jaguars in week 1. They only scored 10. The Patriots also held them to 13 points scored, and that's a good defense. Now, the other team that they've scored points on, the Cowboys, arguably the worst defense in the league. They dropped 30 on and 1. The Dolphins, they scored 27 against. The worst team in the league that we both agree on. Okay? They beat the Falcons 30-0. That's the only game that is an outlier. Because every other game, in my opinion, tells me exactly who they are. Which is not that good of a team. They're just playing really bad teams because they sucked last year. They were the worst team in the league. Second worst or third worst, whatever. I don't think they're that good. I don't. Panthers? I think they're getting there.
Okay.
I think they're getting there, but I don't think they're that good. Their 4-3 record is a sham.
Yeah. When you look at that, you're right. They're not great, but they're beating the teams that they should, or the teams that, if you want to be improving, and they are, that they should beat. And they beat what the Falcons, who are a decent team by a lot.
The Falcons are improving. We know that.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Well, I guess you're right. And they barely beat the Dolphins.
They barely beat the Dolphins, and they barely beat the Cowboys. And the Cowboys didn't have CeeDee Lamb back at that point, right?
Right. So yes, I wouldn't say that the Panthers are a top 10, maybe not even a top 15 team, but they're 4-3. You know, the juxtaposition on that is I'll go back and look at the Bills. Let's look at who the Bills beat. Okay, so the Bills are 4-2. This is a team that a lot of people are considered
to be the best team in the league,
Super Bowl contenders. Yeah, right. They're Super Bowl or bust sort of a team. They beat Baltimore in week 1, which we thought was a phenomenal game. It was a really telling thing. Ends up Baltimore's 1-5. So was it really that it was that big of a deal? Then they beat the Jets. Well, we know what the Jets are. Yeah. We talked about them. Then the next week they beat the Dolphins. We know what the Dolphins are. They're fighting for the worst team in the league with the Jets. And then they beat the New Orleans Saints, who are 1-6.
Yeah.
So let's recap. A 1-5 Baltimore Ravens team, a 0-7 Jets team, a 1-6 Miami team, a 1-6 New Orleans team, and then the last 2 weeks they lost against the Patriots, who are 5-2, who, except for an ugly loss against the Raiders in week 1, have looked phenomenal and gotten better every week. Drake May looks like a freaking superstar. And they lost to Atlanta Falcons, and you and I have both just sat here and said, we don't know who they are. We don't really think they're that good. And
so you're flipping my argument on me right now. That's what you're doing?
I'm saying that, quite frankly, I thought Buffalo was pretty good.
Are you telling me that the Buffalo Bills are only as good as everybody thinks they are because they play in a poverty division and every other team in their division sucks dick, so that the only reason why they ever look good is because they get 6 free wins a year? Is that what you're telling me?
I'm telling you that I don't know exactly what the lines are because we haven't gotten to that on this week's bets, but I might take the Panthers over the Bills because the Panthers are at home and they might just be as good or better than the Buffalo Bills right now. We will have to wait
Wow.
and see.
Okay.
We'll see. We'll
Well,
see. I'm just not confident in
I'll leave
Buffalo.
that conversation at that then, and one
Okay.
of us will be proven right this week as we move on
On
to the
on to the next.
Niners at. Did I say the Niners at the Texans?
You
That's
didn't say
wrong.
that, but
Wait, is that? No.
Niners at the Texans, it could be. Why
Oh my
couldn't
God,
it
it is
be? I
Niners
don't
at the
know.
Texans. I'm sorry.
I
I
don't
got
know. You
mixed
were the
up.
one that looked up the
My
schedule.
brain, Seahawks played the Texans this week, same division, playing the
Uh-huh.
Texans. It confused me.
Uh-huh.
Yes, the Niners
Uh-huh.
are at the Texans this week.
Okay.
You know what? Texans might be one of those teams that we stopped talking about, in my opinion.
Might be. They're pretty bad. They've fallen off a cliff since
I just
yeah.
since CJ Stroud posted that he was the third best quarterback in the league, they've
When
fallen
did he
off
do that? I hope
after
that
his
was a
rookie
long time
season.
ago.
After his rookie
Yeah.
season. Yeah.
Yeah, that's about when he fell off. He's about, I think I saw the stats. He's bottom 25, 26,
He
28 in all
sucks.
categories. Yeah, he's not
It
been
was,
playing good.
you know, the Niners are continuing to be really good despite all their injuries.
Yeah.
I don't think there's much.
Hell of a coach team.
Yeah, I don't think there's much to talk about them other than the fact that they're keeping it going, man. They're finding a way to win, and they're doing it every week, and that's awesome. Now there is something we can talk about from the Texans game if you want to talk about it, or do you want to wait to talk about that? Well, actually, we don't have to talk about the Seahawks this week, so let's talk about the weird mess that happened in that Monday night game with those weird calls with the shadow safety that should have been a safety but wasn't a safety. Jackson Smith and Jigba getting bear hugged by a ref so that he didn't get his head torn off. What was going on in
Yeah.
that game? At
You know, I didn't
normal score.
Yeah, I didn't see a lot of that one. I got to be honest. I rarely miss a game. That happened to be one
The-
where my other obligations in life meant that I didn't really get to see a ton of that game. The highlights I saw was that sort of weird situation where wide receiver for Seattle sort of got into a bit of a scuffle on the sidelines after a play went out of bounds. He lost
Yeah.
his helmet, and while he was got pushed basically onto the bench, a ref basically came over and face to face hugged him while he shielded him from the Texans wanting to
Yeah.
basically fight
Bench.
him. And
Texas
it was
bench,
sort of
yeah.
a weird, yeah, it was sort of a weird sight to see in a vacuum on the highlights. It was really funny. Contextually, you watched the game more than I did. So
I mean, okay, so there's been a lot of talk this week from people, especially Chiefs fans, going,
Oh, God.
"Well, see, the refs favor this guy too," and it's like, no. What happened was Jackson Smith and Jigba, when he got tackled, his helmet was ripped off. His helmet was ripped off his head as he was getting tackled onto the sideline, and he ended up on the Texans bench, and there clearly a scuffle started to start. And
Okay.
if you're a referee, your job is to prevent the fight from happening. So, of course, when there's 50 Texans players on one side and then there's
Yeah.
2 to 3 Seahawks players, you're gonna build the barrier and protect the guy who needs to be protected so that a fight doesn't break out. I don't see anything crazy about that. The thing that I actually see, which was shocking, was that weird safety play that wasn't a safety. It ended up not being a safety, but what happened was CJ Stroud is on his own goal line. He takes the shotgun
Quarterback
snap.
for Texans. Okay.
Yeah, CJ Stroud, the quarterback of the Texans, is on offense. They're on offense. They're on their own end zone, basically. He takes the snap, starts to drop back, right? And as he starts to drop back, as he's stepping into the end zone, and I'm like, as he's taking the step into the end zone, he gets grabbed by a Seattle player and then tackled into the end zone. I think it gets fumbled and then recovered by Seattle and this, that, and there. And the play ends, and for like 5 minutes it gets discussed, and essentially they ultimately decide that his forward progress stopped at the 1 yard line, and because the ball can't go any further back after the fumble, they're calling him down at the 1 yard line, which shocked me because he was running himself into the end zone. That's his decision. Just because he ended, in my opinion, he was still running himself into the end zone. So even though the contact started before, he was running himself into the end zone. He was fighting to get out of the tackle by continuing to run in the end zone. I think it should have ended in a safety. That's what I think. So the fact that it didn't end in a safety is shocking to me. I think it was a terrible call by the refs. It didn't really affect the outcome of the game. Seattle still won.
Right.
Seattle was still going to win. But I think it was another example of the refs failing to make correct calls even after they have minutes to review. It's still going the wrong way. So that's my thing. Again, we're going to probably talk about refs and bad calls throughout the rest of the season over and over again. But it's just another example of bad penalties and bad calls and bad decisions by the referees. So that's that. That's what I have to say. In terms of this game and what's going to happen, I do think the Niners are going to continue to prove that they are going to win despite how many injuries. And the Texans are going to continue to prove that even though they are a very talented team, they are not winning for whatever reason.
Okay.
Browns at Patriots.
Browns at Patriots.
So are we moving the Browns also to a team that we're not going to discuss very much anymore?
Probably. My only interest in them is Dylan Gabriel, their third round pick this year at quarterback. Because
don't forget
I'm hoping that
Judkins. He's also pretty interesting.
Yes, well, yeah, that's interesting too. I think Judkins is going to be a really good running back, and there's really not a whole lot there. My interest really is because of the debacle that the Browns are as an organization, and sort of the way they drafted this year. They drafted 2 quarterbacks. We haven't gotten a lot into it. Maybe now is not the time, but it was just kind of a weird deal. And to have 2 rookie quarterbacks on your roster now after trading Joe Flacco, and I'm just kind of interested to see where they're at, and I'm interested to see. Dylan Gabriel, their quarterback, had a really, really, really good college career at a couple of really big name programs, Oklahoma and Oregon. Yeah, and so I'm interested to see how much success he's going to find. So I do peek in on those games and pay attention to that, but that's really the only reason why. But yeah, the likelihood is there will be a mid-season cut as far as how much we discuss them after this week.
I mean, I think they had a great showing this week. It was against a really bad team. I think they're about to play a team that is significantly better in every way.
And ascending.
Yeah, and their only hope for victory is that their defense stops the super productive Patriots offense. Yeah. If they can't, then they'll lose, but I think this is pretty straightforward. I don't think the Patriots had anything special happen this week. They just kind of won. So let's move it on to the Giants at the Eagles. This is a huge one for me. This is my other top game of the week. This is the other game that I'm most excited to watch. Because as of right now, the Eagles are favored to beat the Giants by 7.5 points, and I'm not buying it. I firmly believe that the Giants are not that bad of a team, and that the Jackson Dart experience is just the start of Daboll's resurrection, and that the Giants will continue to be a good team. And after a very unfortunate loss last week, allowing 33 points to be scored on them in the fourth quarter, after a practice squad kicker missed 2, what was it? It was just extra points, I believe, missing 2 PATs, lost them that game. I think the Giants are going to be hungry. I think they're going to be angry, and I think they're going to fight for a victory against these Eagles like they did 2 weeks ago. That's my thoughts. What do you have to say? Yeah. What you say?
So this is the polar opposite of my team, the Raiders. Both of them, I believe, are 2-5.
Yes.
And I would bet to a person in New York who is a Jets fan that after this week's loss, that they are on cloud 9 as far as the direction of their team, and sort of the vibes and what's happening, probably for the first time in 10 years, that this is a Giants team with hope, and really the makeup of the team and just everything about it, just the vibe is polar opposite of, say, a team like mine, the Raiders, with the same record. They are exciting to watch. The Jackson Dart and the Scattaboo, their running back rookies, have sort of lit a fire of excitement in that area. And yes, I think that it is a fun story to watch. I think that they continue to sort of progress and show some progression and get better and better week over week, even if they're not winning a lot of games. I think that it will save their head coach his job and Daboll's job.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that they'll have a really good base to build on for next year. They have a
Mm-hmm.
really good defense, a really good defensive
Mm-hmm.
line, and their number one wide receiver got hurt right as Jackson Dart took over as quarterback, and
Neighbors.
so he'll be back next year. Neighbors, and so I think there's a lot of really good stuff going on there. I do want to go back to their game against the Broncos this week.
Yeah.
And they did lose this week on what was a heartbreaking loss, which
Shouldn't have happened.
for yeah, it shouldn't have happened, and it's crazy that it happened. They had an 18-point lead with less than 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter. They dominated that game from top to bottom in Denver
Mm-hmm.
and managed to lose that game on what I, quite frankly, blame on the coaching, to be
Yeah,
quite honest.
for
Um,
sure.
you know, Jackson Dart had a terrible interception, but I
Mm-hmm.
really don't like the play call, and we put it. They put him in. It was just a terrible
Yeah.
situation. I don't have
Bad
time to go. We don't have time to
situations.
go into all the details, but it was prolific. In the previous 1,602 times, 1,602 times that a team led by 18 points with 6 minutes or less in the fourth quarter, like the Giants did, that team won.
Mm-hmm.
And the Giants managed to piss away and lose that game.
I think the last time it happened was Lions were playing the Bears, and the Lions scored 33 uncontested points, or 34 uncontested points as well.
Yeah, and that's years
That
and
was
years
so
ago.
long ago. Yeah, that was a
And
very,
so what's
very long time
excited
ago.
and so with all these crazy things that happened in the game, and that's also the game that the player chased the ref after that. I mean,
Yeah,
and yeah,
wild
and they
game.
only lost. And I mean, the loss could even come down to two missed extra
Two
points,
missed
which is
extra points.
crazy, by a kicker who was on their practice squad
Who's now been
prior to
fired.
that,
He's been
who's
released.
now been cut. There's just all these swirling things that you could say are negative, and oh my gosh, here goes the Giants again. And like I said, to a man, the Giants fans are probably doing cartwheels in New York. They're so
Yeah,
excited for their team, and it's absolutely exciting to watch. So yes, that is a game that I will be watching, and I
very
do not
excited.
believe, yeah, and I don't believe that 7.5 points is. I think that's
I
crazy
mean,
that Philadelphia is
let's
favored
be
by that.
real. Let's be real. Since the Eagles got embarrassed by the Giants 2 weeks ago, they played the Vikings. And
Uh-huh.
in that game against the Vikings, Jalen Hurts had a
Uh-huh.
great game. But the
Yeah, that's
biggest
true.
and most exposed issue of the Eagles was apparent once again. Saquon Barkley had 44 yards rushing. Their rushing
Yeah.
attack totaled to, and I quote, or totaled to exactly 45 rushing yards. They got one
Yeah.
other rushing yard total in
Yeah.
that game, and and it only happens because Jalen Hurts lost 10 yards rushing, and Tank Bigsby had one rush for 11 yards. If the Giants show up, and if the Giants are able to stop the abysmal rushing offense that the Eagles have, they will win this game. The
Yeah, and that's
offense
what's crazy.
is firing on all cylinders, and if they
Mhm.
don't do what they did in the fourth quarter against the Broncos, they will
Yeah.
win this game. I
Yeah.
just don't see it. I think the Eagles have too much going on.
Yeah.
So I'm excited.
And so yeah,
I'm excited.
Yeah. Me too. I think the Giants, they started off 0-3 and they're 2-5 now, but
They're 2-2 in
they
my
are
eyes.
the best. They're the best 2-5 team with the most momentum out of anybody. And so we'll see how it goes. I'm excited to watch that game too.
Yep.
That's a long way to say I'm
I
excited
am
about that game too.
pumped. All right,
All right,
Bucks
next one.
at Saints. Are the Saints a
Now we
team
can
we're gonna drop? Well,
wrap.
let's discuss the Bucks side of the Lions game real quick because they deserve
Okay.
some credit. Okay, Bucks
Yeah.
had a rough week against the Lions. Baker could not get anything done. Mike Evans' season is officially over.
Yeah.
He does not have a chance to get his 1,000 yards, which means he ties the record with Jerry Rice for 11 straight seasons of 1,000 receiving yards or more. It is unfortunate. I love Mike Evans, but a broken collarbone and a bad hammy and a concussion are going to cause his season to end. It's unfortunate. It sucks. It does mean that the wide receivers, the young and exciting wide receivers for the Bucks, get their time to shine. Not only does Agbuka get to play, or Agbika, however you say his last name, not Agbubu, don't say that one, but the other ones
No.
do get his chance to continue to play great. And what's the other guy's name? the other guy, he thought they were calling him the MVP after he scored that massive touchdown a week ago. Oh, what's his name for the Bucks? Hold on, I'll find it. I tried picking up on fantasy this week and I didn't get it. Tez Johnson, and Tez Johnson's gonna get his chance to play. I think the Bucks lost in no way that makes them look bad. They lost to the best team in the NFL. So, it happens. Sometimes you lose to the best team in the NFL. It's not going to change anything. I think the Bucks are great. I think the Bucks are going to do fine. Baker's going to bounce back. That team will bounce back. It was uncharacteristic of them. So,
yeah.
And hey, let's keep the thing that you've been saying every week. The Bucks have maintained they're not calling a timeout until 2-minute warning of every game. Up through this Lions game too. They did it through this game too.
Yeah, that was something I mentioned.
They didn't call their timeouts until they needed to.
Yeah, I believe last week it was something I happened to notice, and I went back and looked at every Bucks game. They have not. Basically, what it comes down to is well-coached teams who are doing a good job of managing the game and just doing all the things that good teams do.
Mm-hmm.
And one of those things is not wasting timeouts, and it's part of why the Bucks have been able to win in dramatic fashion in late in games all season, because when they've needed to conserve the clock, they've had timeouts to do it at the end of the halves and at the end of games. And so even while we were watching that game Monday night, I pointed out to you again, it was the same thing, both the half and at the end of the game. They had all of their timeouts. In this case, obviously, the lead was too big and Lions were better than them. But it's still, to me, that's impressive, because I watched terrible teams burn timeouts for no reasons over and over and over again. And you look at the end of the game, when they could use them, they don't have them. So
exactly,
I still think the Bucks are a really good team. I do think that the Lions are a better team. And as far as the other side of that, the Saints this week, we can move on.
We can move on from the Saints, but Bucks probably have this game in the bag. Titans at Colts. This is another game. We're probably going to move on really quick. We're not going to talk about the Titans anymore. They had a little bit of life last week, and then they continue to look like the Titans. The Colts are the best team in the AFC by far, arguably the best team in the NFL. Yeah. I mean, what do we even say about the Colts outside of that they're just dominant, Yeah,
they're dominant. Yeah, there's two things that in the very first week of this season, our first pod this week, you told me that we talked more about the Colts than any other team in our week one. And I obviously have an affinity and saw that the Colts were going to be good. Check one for me on that one. Mm-hmm. Also, I made my bold prediction, my bold statement that the number one overall pick in the draft this year that everybody was so high on, the quarterback Cam Ward, taken by the Titans, has proven me 100% correct and has been. And I know he plays for the Titans, and it's tough. And
I'm still not giving this to you. I'm not giving this to you.
Good players go to bad teams, but he has done some things that has nothing to do with anybody but himself. He has single-handedly dropped 2 balls in the last 2 games with nobody around him. There were fumbles that were lost to the other team, and he has not looked good.
Here is my counter argument. The quarterback that you liked very, very much coming out of college by the name of Sam Darnold went to the New York Jets.
Yep.
And in his rookie season, in a very, very unfortunate game when Sam Darnold was seeing the afterlife, at the end of the game he said, "I was seeing ghosts out there," because he had mono or something on the field.
He said that while he was in the game, that got picked up by a mic, that God forbid that ever happens. That should have never been publicized, but yes, there was a camera. I know what he said.
It happens when you're on bad teams. Sam Darnold's career has been resurrected after playing for 2 really great organizations. 3, really. We have to count the Niners in there too, because that's where it really started. Baker Mayfield had a very similar thing happen to him. Although he looked good in Cleveland, I will say. He did look good in Cleveland. But I'm not counting anybody out who plays for a dog shit organization. I'm never going to count out the Browns QBs. I'm not going to count out Cam Ward. I think that if anybody has to play for these bad organizations, they need to be given one chance to play on a good team with a good organization, and then I'll decide. All right? That's what I have to say. I'm not giving up on this guy. I think he has a chance. All right?
I'm not sitting here in week 7.
It's not his fault he has small hands, Dad. It's not his fault.
I'm not sitting here in week 7 writing the final chapter of Cam Ward's book. However, I am sitting here in week 7 saying, so far I was right. That's all I'm saying. Moving on.
That's fair. All right, let's move on. We've got the Packers at the Steelers.
Oh, this should be a good one. Packers
This will
at
be
the
a good
Steelers
one.
should be a good one.
It'll be the
Yeah,
Aaron
so-
Rod. It'll be the another Aaron Rodgers revenge game. It'll be in Pittsburgh, so he won't get to see his home crowd. But what I have to say about this, Packers fans are bitch made, and your team's not that good. And if the Steelers
You
defense,
say that statement again. Packers fans are
Packers
what now?
fans are bitch made, and your team is not as good as you
bitch made.
think. Bitch made,
Bitch
yes. I'm tired of it.
B-I-T-C-H
Yes,
made.
the
Okay.
Packers
I'm
fans.
just clarifying.
I want to stop hearing them. All right. Every post I see that even has a lick of the Lions in it, or really any team that they don't like, they're just yap. There was a post made this morning or yesterday about the league pressure leaders, and Aiden Hutchinson leads the league in pressures with 48, and Micah Parsons is behind him at 36. He's like 8th or 10th on the list, and all the comments are just Packers fans going, well, Aiden Hutchinson played more, and I'm like, well, maybe your star defensive edge should fucking play more. He's the guy who doesn't go in. He's deciding he's not playing. Aiden Hutchinson's a man. He'll step up and play all game. He'll play 95% of the snaps. Your guy won't. Maybe if your guy knew how to defend against the fucking run, he'd play more. That's all I have to say. Tired of hearing it. Shut up, Packers fans.
For those of you listening and or watching and who are not aware of this, the Green Bay Packers are the division rival of the Detroit Lions. And so my son is on a good one right now.
I'm on a tear.
I'm feeling a little bit of excitement here.
Not all Packers fans are bitch made. Just the ones that decide to post on the internet.
Okay, which is a lot of them. Which is a lot of them. So I'll be a little more, create a little more levity here. Green Bay right now, and also as part of what sparks this whole little rant that he went on. If the playoffs started today, Green Bay would be the number one seed in the NFC, and the Lions would be the number 5, I think. And so as far as this game's concerned, I am looking to see if Micah Parsons, the biggest offseason trade in the entire NFL, their defensive end, what he's going to do to get to Aaron Rodgers, the oldest quarterback. I've been sort of surprised by both teams. A little bit surprising that Green Bay, as hot as they started, have not looked as good as they started.
Oh, yeah, they haven't.
And I didn't think that the Aaron Rodgers-led Steelers were going to be all that competitive or much better than they had been. But he really has brought, it looks like, a little bit of stability there on the offensive side of the ball, which the Steelers have struggled for a long time, being led by Mike Tomlin, their head coach, who's a defensive-minded coach and probably needed the help of someone like Rodgers because they've just struggled on that side of the ball for a long time. And it looks like it's been, so far, a pretty good marriage. We'll see. I think this week we'll test them a little bit as far as the offense for the Steelers and see what happens with Aaron Rodgers, who's been, I think has not been sacked in 2 games. And so he hasn't been touched, and so they look good. So we'll see how it goes. I'm interested to see this because I really do want to see where those 2 teams are because they're going to be playoff teams, I believe.
Yeah, they both will be.
And I'm just kind of looking to see, so as we enter the halfway mark of the season, sort of as we formulate our opinions on who these teams are, really where they're at. So it should be a
for
good
me, I want to see both defenses, really. I'm not as interested in both of these offenses, but the Steelers' defense is supposed to be a very good defense, and they haven't looked it. And the Packers, with all this talk around Micah Parsons, are supposed to be a phenomenal defense, and they're also not really proving it to me. Allowing 23 points to the Cardinals, 18 points to the Bengals, 40 points to the Cowboys, and then losing to the Browns. I want to see something. I want to see some life out of both these teams.
All right.
All right. Last game of the week, Monday night.
Okay. Monday night.
The Washington football team versus the Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay.
Man, all I have to say about this is since Jaden Daniels is not going to be starting anymore, I think this game's going to be a real easy one for the Chiefs, especially because they're at home. And as we all know, when the Chiefs are at home, the refs are wearing red and gold. So,
Yeah, red and yellow. Yeah, I know.
yeah. So,
Yeah, I don't know. Washington was really, really good last year, which was Jaden Daniels' rookie season, and he's been largely hurt this year. He's going to be out again this game after coming back last week for only part of the game before getting hurt again.
yeah.
Doesn't appear to be a super serious injury as far as putting him out for a long time, but he sort of just been fighting this injury. He's not a big guy, and
No.
so we'll see if that's going to start playing into how he does. I'm a
Yeah.
little bit concerned about that. And Washington is certainly not building off of their second round into the playoffs last year. And then the
No.
Chiefs, who started off absolutely terrible, have turned their season around and actually look quite good, which they've been for now 7 seasons or so, certainly since Patrick Mahomes has been there.
Yeah.
And so I think it's two teams going the opposite direction. I think Washington is going to continue to sort of trend down,
Yep.
and the Chiefs are going to trend up. And then it's hard when you're playing against the other team
Mm-hmm.
and also the refs. And so
Yep.
we'll just see how that goes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Not biased
So
statements at all. Not biased statements at all.
no bias. No
We
bias
have
out there.
evidence. We have evidence to back it up now. All right, let's move on. Let's move on to our last segment of the week, the fantasy segment. Dad, give them a bit of a description about what we do with fantasy while I show them last week's results. Go for it.
So we do basically a 2-part bet each week with each other. We pick every single game straight up, just who's going to win and who's going to lose.
Mhm.
And then we take the Las Vegas posted odds off of the same website every
Yep.
week. And we pick who's going to win the game versus the spread. So, for example, if the Raiders were to play the Lions this week and the Lions were favored by 6.5 points, and I said that I thought that the Raiders were going to win, or that I thought the Raiders would lose the game, but they would
Yikes.
actually win or lose by less than 6.5, then I would say that the Lions were going to win the game and that the
Mhm.
Lions would win by less than 6.5 points. I would win both of those bets. So we do this every week. We've done it for several years now. And I will say right now that I am losing this year.
Yes, I can give the points or the records. So that's last week up for you right now. It's been up for the last little bit. Through this last week, let's go last week real quick. Last week, I went 9-6 straight up. You went 14-1, the best week we've seen in a long time. Against the spread, I went 9-6, and you went 12-3.
12-3.
Yeah, you went crazy. Now this season, throughout all the weeks, added up, I have gone 67-41 straight up. And you have gone
41. That's pretty good.
72-36 straight up, which is much better.
That's even better.
You have a 5-game lead on me, sir. But against the spread, the story changes. I'm 56-52, just over 500 against the spread.
Which is good. Yeah,
which is really good. Yeah. And you are 47-61 against the spread. I have a 9-game lead on you against the spread.
Yikes.
So if we were to combine our records completely together, I would have a 4-game lead on you. If we were to combine both. But that's not what we do. We have somebody. So that's that. Let's move on to this week's fantasy picks. Now, we've discussed all our thoughts on the games already, so we're just going to say what we think is going to be straight up. Vikings, Chargers. Chargers are favored by 3. I have, and this is crazy, but I hate that I'm doing it, but I have the Chargers winning both ways. Sorry.
Okay, this is Vikings at the Chargers?
Vikings at the Chargers. I have the Chargers winning both ways. Boom.
Okay. I have the Chargers winning both ways as well. Straight up and against spread. They'll win by more than 3.
Alrighty then. Bing, bang, boom.
Okay.
Next one, we have the Dolphins at the Falcons. The Falcons are favored by 7.5 points. I have the Falcons winning, but the Dolphins covering. Ooh.
It's a tough one. I'm gonna take clearly the Falcons.
Okay.
And I'm gonna take. They're gonna blow them out.
They're gonna blow them out. So the Falcons are gonna prove us wrong this week. Prove you wrong this week. Okay. Bears at Ravens. Ravens are favored by 5.5. I'm gonna do another one. I'm gonna say the Ravens are gonna win this game, but the Bears are going to cover. that 5.5 point spread.
Holy cannoli. I have no faith. God, I hate this. I know I have the Bears.
You
I
have
got the Bears.
both ways?
Yeah.
Wowee. Okie
Mm-hmm.
dokie. Okie dokie. All right, next game. Jets at Bengals. Bengals are favored by 6.5. I think I have the Jets both ways here. I think the Tyrod Taylor experience is going to be a good one.
Nah, I got Flacco for one more. I got
Bengals
the
both
Bengals.
ways?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Bills at Panthers. Bills are favored by 7. I have the Bills winning this both ways. I think this is the Bills game to prove that they are legit. They're too legit to quit.
I'm gonna go Panthers.
Yep.
Yeah.
I knew it was coming. You talked all that talk. You have to back it up now.
I mean, I believe in what I'm just going by what I see.
Yeah. 49ers at Texans. Texans are favored by 1.5. I got the Niners both ways.
Huh. Texans are favored, huh?
By 1.5.
I don't know what's going on in Vegas, but
something crazy.
Dang it.
Someone's asleep at the wheel.
Gotta take the 49ers, man. They're just too well coached.
Hey,
They're too well coached. I don't care. I don't know how they're doing it, but they're on both sides of the ball. They're so well coached. I just gotta take them. Go for it.
Browns at Pats. Pats are favored by 7. I got the Pats both ways.
I'm gonna take the Pats to win and the Browns to cover.
Ooh, okay. Why
Yeah,
so, good
I'm
sir?
seeing a field. I don't know. I'm seeing a field goal game. I think Drake May is phenomenal, and I think that they're going the right direction.
Okay.
And but I just think the Browns have a really good defense.
Okay.
And so I think they're going to be able to do some things. I think Drake May has been on this trend. He hasn't had anything wrong happen in the last couple of weeks. And while I think he's really good, I don't think he's there yet. And so I think they're going to be able to do some things just to keep it close. And Judkins running the ball. If the Browns will utilize him properly. Yep. And I think that they're going to lose, but I think that they're going to keep it close.
They're going to keep it close. That defense is gonna hold them enough, and that offense is going to pick up the pace enough. Okay.
Yeah, and just Drake Mays just looks so good that I think that there's got to be some sort of levity that happens, and right now is a good time, middle of the season, for that to happen. So we'll see.
Okay. Giants at Eagles. Eagles are favored by 7.5. I talked my talk, dude. I'm sticking with the Giants.
Too. I am too, dude.
Hell yeah.
With the Giants. I got the Giants, dude.
I got the Giants.
I do. I got the Giants.
Gigante's both ways, dude. They're my team. They're my team right now.
Yeah, I got them. Yeah,
Bucks
me too.
at Saints. Bucks are favored by 4. Man, the Bucks are beaten and battered. Only 4. The Bucks are only favored by 4.
Yeah.
I have the Bucks winning this game, but the Saints covering. That is what I feel.
So this is another one of those, and I keep betting on them, and my logical side says no, but I'm taking the Saints to win.
Wow. Really?
Yeah. I think the Saints are going to have. Well, no, I don't think the Bucks fall off. I think that the Saints are one of those teams that's going to have 1 or 2 wins this season. They surprise people. I've been waiting for it to happen. It hasn't happened yet.
So this is the one?
And I think this is it at the Saints. Yeah, I think this is going to be that one where we're like, what?
Okay. All right. I disagree with you. I've been disagreeing with you about the Saints. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think this one's a shoo-in. I think we both know this one. Titans at Colts. Colts by 14. Easy pick for me.
Titans at Colts. Colts by 14.
I picked the Colts.
That's such a huge spread. God, that's such a college spread.
It's the
every
highest,
time I go.
It's the highest performing offense in the league at home against arguably the worst team in the league.
Every time I take a spread like this, I watch the game and I go, why the hell did I do that? And I just don't know if I can do it again.
As proven last week, the interim head coach rule did not come into effect. Now, the interim head coach rule, if you don't know, is usually when a team gets an interim head coach after a coach is fired, they usually play significantly better for a couple weeks. But the Titans played about as good as they've been playing all season last week. So
This is such an easy decision. Of course, I'm taking the Colts. I've been on the Colts since week 1.
Okay, guy.
Such an easy
Okay,
decision.
guy. Okay, guy.
Colts are gonna smash. They're gonna cover, and they might even pull what Kansas City did to the Raiders last week. By the time the fourth quarter starts,
They might all
we're
be
gonna have
benched.
we're gonna have Indiana Jones sitting on the sidelines, Jonathan Taylor over there hanging out, talking about what they're gonna do after the game in the fourth
Okay.
quarter.
Okay. All
Got
right.
it.
All right. Moving on. Cowboys at Broncos. Broncos favored by 3.5. Now, here's what I have to say about this. I have to say that the Broncos are going to lose this game. I think Dak and his boys are going to come in and embarrass that Broncos defense, and that really crappy Broncos offense is going to continue to be really crappy. And I hate picking the
Okay.
Cowboys. You know it. You know I don't like picking the Cowboys.
I was leaning that way, except that the defense for the Broncos is really, really good.
It is. Except you gave up
And
32 points last week. Almost
and the
35.
Broncos offenses look like absolute doggy do. And so I'm gonna say that Peyton's gonna turn that Broncos team on the offensive side around. Bo Nix is gonna look like he did more last year. I got Broncos. Give me Broncos.
Broncos both ways. Okay. Okay.
And they're gonna be 6-2. Crazy.
No, they're gonna be 5-3. But let's move on. Packers at Steelers. Packers are favored by 3. I'm doing this out of spite, but also because I think it'll happen. I think the Steelers are gonna win. I do. I do. I think the Packers are due for another embarrassing loss, and I think this is where it's gonna happen.
Yeah, I think so too.
They haven't looked as
really
good as I
do.
thought they should have looked.
No, and Jordan Love doesn't look good. He makes a lot of
No.
really dumb mistakes. And JJ, their running back, has been hurt. He was hurt last week, played limitedly, and I think that Steelers win. What's the spread on that?
The Packers are favored
Oh
by
yeah, I got the
3.
Steelers. I got the Steelers winning. Yeah, I got Steelers
Yeah,
winning.
yeah. I
Okay.
mean, listen, it's
Easy.
not the Toyota-thon yet, right? And so Jordan Love's
No.
not allowed to play good football. That's how that works. So
Okay.
we're gonna move on to the last game of the week, the final game. We have the one, the only Washington football team against the Kansas City Chiefs, and the
what's
Chiefs
the
are
spread?
favored by 11.5. I have the Chiefs winning this game, but I do have the Washington football team covering.
Yeah. No, I got the Chiefs smashing again.
Wow. I don't know, dude. Mariota's looked good.
This.
Mariota's looked good when he's played for Washington. I don't know. That's how I feel. Well,
I
here are
got
our
Kansas
picks.
City winning cover.
Look at them all. They're all highlighted and fancy looking. Isn't that wonderful? Look at them one last time. Here they go. Bye-bye. Say goodbye to the picks. Goodbye, picks.
Bye now.
Well, guys, it's been another great week. Me and my dad have had another great hour and a half of talking, and we've enjoyed it. And to end off this week, I just want to say thank you for watching. I enjoyed your viewership. I hope you enjoyed listening to us talk. We've been two Vits talking shit. Goodbye now. Bye-bye, 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 bye-bye.